Revive FM or its management.
Hello, good afternoon. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 with your host today, myself, Louise Power. This show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship and inspirational stories. So welcome to the Power Hour. And today I have a special guest in the studio, dialing in all the way from Scotland, and his name is David Duke. Welcome to the show, David.
Hi, Louise. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, although I dialed into some Teams call by accident, so apologies for the delay.
Not to worry. It was the StreamYard link, but we got there in the end. That's the most important thing, and I'm really, really honoured to meet you today. I've been having lots of conversations with Heather, who works alongside you, and you and I have had conversations, but we're actually meeting now, and it's such a pleasure to have you here, David.
Likewise. No, it's great. It's great to be able to chat.
So, David, tell us where you are today in the UK. You're in Scotland, actually. Whereabouts are you in Scotland?
Yeah, so today I'm in Dundee. So Dundee is a kind of city on the northeast coast, and it's where we have one of our change centres, well, our only change centre at this stage. So basically, about a year ago, we opened up. It was an old sports centre which was kind of shut down and stuff like that, and we've transformed it and repurposed it into a kind of community hub, which kind of has education suites, training areas, office space for a range of kind of services and agencies to be able to use. It's got an indoor football pitch and an indoor sports hall. So it's called the Change Centre, and it's all about having a space. It's in an area which has got quite a lot of kind of issues around poverty and just kind of high levels of unemployment, and it's got a few challenges locally, so we've brought this centre in to give people in the community a place to connect and unite and access support and a range of activities that Street Soccer Scotland provide, but also a range of other partners such as Shelter and NHS and so on.
I love the name, the Change Centre. It sounds like a real wraparound sort of an ecosystem of support for people.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. When people talk about street soccer, but the players that we support, there's often multiple kind of need in their life, in terms of whether it be maybe mental health support, advice around housing and debt, or there's a number of things that people support that people need. So it's important that we can try and find a space where you don't have to navigate all over the place just to access the support. The support's easy to get to, as opposed to, as I say, hard to navigate.
Yeah, in one place. And in saying that, I would really like you, before we get into the real depths of things, for you to just introduce yourself to our listeners. I know that you're the CEO and founder of Street Soccer Scotland.
Yeah.
So if you could just tell everybody, just introduce yourself and a bit about Street Soccer Scotland, that would be really lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, so Street Soccer Scotland was founded in 2009. And we followed that up with Street Soccer London at the beginning of 2020. And basically the organisation exists to use football as a catalyst for change, but what we do is, we try and use football as a place of not just to play the game, but as a place where people can connect, and people can build confidence, access support, create new relationships. And it's aimed, our Scotland programme is largely aimed at adults who have experienced, trauma, homelessness, mental health, addiction, and using that, I think it's important that, everyone has something to be part of. And, street soccer is the vehicle for that. We all take things like our workplace and our family and our friends and our social clubs and all that. We can always take that for granted, thinking, everyone does this, but there's a lot of people who simply don't have access to, a job or relationships which they can use for support. So we use football to do that, and then once people are involved, they can access again, additional support from partner agencies and services to hopefully help them on their journey to a kind of sustainable, happy life, you know, and again, it was set up in 2009, but it was all based on my own lived experience. So I kind of grew up living in poverty, left school at 13, and then as a young adult, I became homeless. I spent 3 years kind of homeless in Glasgow, and football was the rope that pulled me out of dark hole. I managed to get involved with kind of Scotland Homeless World Cup team, and suddenly I had kind of 2 training sessions a week to look forward to. From a place where I used to wake up, have nothing to look forward to, no hope, no self-worth, suddenly I had kind of 2 games of football every week. And, it might sound small or not that big a thing to some, but actually, that was my prime focus. It was my prime purpose. It was the reason I woke up in the morning. I wanted, and by being active and being physically active and playing football, then mentally I was becoming stronger. So, the street soccer organisation has been set up based on my own lived experience. And, for the 13 years, we've been doing our best to try and change lives across Scotland and now London.
It's just phenomenal. It really is. Just hearing, that little snippet of your story and, the things that really kept you motivated, being in a situation where you kind of lose hope.
Yeah.
And then, being homeless and having something to grasp onto. And of course, I think what stood out to me was that, you can create a new network and a new family. And it just gives people an opportunity to build those relationships. If I may ask, would you be able to take us a little bit on that journey with you about, being 13 and becoming homeless? Like, was there...
I think there was a number of factors that kind of led there, so I grew up in an area in Govan in Glasgow, and it was largely impacted on the decline of industry. So Govan was a big shipbuilding community. So a lot of the employment came either directly from shipbuilding or as a byproduct of shipbuilding, cafes, shops, all that kind of, it really shaped the local economy. So as I kind of started to hit my kind of teenage years, there was mass unemployment in the area, and my own kind of family life. My father was an alcoholic, and as a result of his illness, him and my parents split up when I was 13. So I was kind of left as a kind of young kid to make a call in terms of where I go, and chose to stay with my dad. Dropped out of school, and then. But it just kind of floated about, I was kind of, I'm involved in social enterprise just now, but I probably started my first social enterprise back in 1993 when I was doing pirate videos renting out pirate videos round the doors just to make money. And, it was all about survival.
Yeah.
You know this yourself, Louise, you've been involved in business now. It's about kind of doing everything you can to keep going, keep surviving, and so on. But actually, a lot of the stuff that I had to do back then, and it's stood me in good stead for what I do today. In terms of resilience, problem solving, entrepreneurial stuff, all that kind of stuff. That's all stuff that I learned from a very young age. But when I was 18, I decided just to kind of cut off from my father and stuff like that. Just kind of let him go on with his drinking was, out of control, and I just felt that I could only do so much, and I had to start living my own life. And sadly, a year later, he kind of passed away, and that started the process of me kind of shutting down, feeling guilty, blocking things out, pretending it didn't happen, then starting to drink heavily myself just because I was trying to mask the pain. And I just kind of lost everything, lost my job, lost my girlfriend, and became homeless, and, rather than reach out for help, I kind of tried to do it my own.
It can happen so easily, can't it, David?
It can if you don't have the right support. I think the critical thing is, in my own experience, in my own view of it is, if I don't have any kids, but if I had a kid just now, and maybe they were kind of go to college, they wanted to go to college or university, leave home, they would go and get a job and all that, and kind of to do that, and they would get parental support. But if they were to lose their job and they can't pay their rent, they would move home.
Yeah.
You know, or if the relationship was okay, they would move home, and I would support them. You know,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of young people, particularly, you know, young people with care experience, you know, who don't have that support network. There's a lot of people who, obviously, domestic violence leads to homelessness and stuff like that, where you just kind of, you don't have that support, or that support's cut off from you, and without that support, you know, it's the support that gets you through the hard times. And I think if you look at what we've tried to create with street soccer, it's about replacing that support after crisis, so that we can help people progress and go on that journey. And as I say, 3 years, you know, being in Glasgow, you know, kind of homeless, having no self-worth, living in fear, living for the hour, never mind the day, can be quite challenging, you know. And I think, you know, a lot of people experienced some symptoms of that when COVID hit and the pandemic was there, because COVID took away your control. You know, everyone was out of control. They never knew what was happening. You know, financially, people were insecure. You were cut off from friends and family. You couldn't go to bars and restaurants. But actually, that's the life of someone in that position, and that was certainly my life. And I suppose, in a positive way, when the crisis hit, that allowed me to be able to navigate the crisis from a leadership perspective, or certainly it helped me assist the rest of the team to cope with that kind of crisis. So yeah, I mean, homelessness was tough, you know, physically, mentally, you know, everything, and it was a rebuilding job, you know, which has probably taken about 17 years, to be fair. But I thought I was very lucky. I met the right people at the right time, and I got access to an opportunity which I'd taken, and then the rest is kind of history.
I really connected. I remember hearing your story for the first time and really seeing myself in that story, seeing myself young and not at home, not having sort of like the standard kind of support that we, you know, envisage ourselves to have, being young and being a teenager, and you know, having different sort of, my parents are broken up and things like that, and having spent some time in the care system, and really actually thinking back now exactly how vulnerable I really was at that time. And when I heard your story, it resonated with me so much, because it is a fight for survival, and every day you're thinking about, you know, how you get through today, and then sort of like how you get through tomorrow, and having to build and find ways of being resilient, sometimes in a matter of minutes. You know, something might happen where I had to move to live in a different house, or I had to find a way of getting a new job because I ran out of money, and you're constantly sort of. So I really, that really resonates with me. So when you were speaking about the holistic care and not having to go to all different places, I think that's helpful too, because in the system, you know, you've got housing, and then you've got social workers, and then you've got sort of maybe advice for money, and then you've got maybe mental health and well-being, and people really need, you know, the thing is, if young people are for whatever the reason are let down, or they don't have the kinds of support or childhood, or you know, that, you know, a healthy childhood that, you know, we all would like our children to have, for example, and then people become adults that then go on and have an issues that have sometimes reflected those problems during childhood. And I think it's so important to have an organisation like yours that is, like you said, then supporting the reflection of that childhood, and you know, what has happened, and then has an opportunity then to support that person so that it doesn't repeat. that cycle when they have children. And then when those children have children, through either mental health, through alcoholism, through drug addiction, through homelessness, and all the other things that come with, having socio-economical disparity, really. So, your story is really heartfelt and really inspirational. So it'll be really good now to just kind of find out, what inspired you then, Pose, at that point to decide not only do I want to do something that's going to make generational change for myself, but I want to do something that's going to make generational change for as many people across Scotland and England that I possibly can.
Well, I think from a personal perspective, when it was, when I was going through the change process, I think it was, it's all about the people you surround yourself with and the role models. We had a coach, Ali, who was one of our team here at Street Soccer, who sadly passed away last year. Ali was the coach of the team, and he was a former Rangers captain and so on. And so I suppose coming from me, where I was at, having a coach, somebody who you respected, somebody who you wanted to impress on the football pitch, and then that coach becoming almost like a mentor and a kind of father figure, role model type, that was the kind of, I think that was the kind of change for me, having somebody that, you could speak to, having somebody who could give you advice. And then I think the next part of the change for myself was the fact that I started coaching like kids. I started volunteering at a kids football club, and I was kind of coaching kids under 12s, under 13s, and it just kind of came to me that I was now a role model to the kids because I was a coach, and they were looking at, and for the first time and that I could remember, that I'd felt self-worth. I felt like somebody because the parents were grateful for your skill and your coaching and stuff like that, and then the kids, they'd kind of copy what boots you were wearing and stuff like that, so you kind of had that role model, and I think that was really a turning point for me. But in terms of then becoming a change maker or a kind of founder of a charity, it was more, I think it was just the universe. I'm a big believer, sometimes things just happen, and obviously I had the lived experience of what a lot of my players today face, so I understood that. But then having that experience of going through there, back into education, back into employment, and then working as a youth worker, working in kind of homelessness services, being a football coach, it just made sense that the next step was to create a football programme. And at the time we were involved with the Homeless World Cup, which was a tournament that I played in.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask you to hold that thought there on the Homeless World Cup.
Yeah.
Hold that thought. We're going to go into a short commercial break, and when we get back, I'd like us to continue that conversation. Honestly, I'm just like, wow. Yeah, this is just, it's phenomenal, honestly. And all what you have done and all that you experienced, I know that, I've no doubt, as many people you've already inspired and will go on to inspire. So please do not touch that dial. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with your host today, myself, Louise Power. I'm interviewing David Duke, and we will be right back after the commercial break.
Let's connect with the Holy Quran. Minhaj Dawah Project distributes the Holy Quran in plain simple English for free. You can donate £3 and sponsor a Quran to a loved one, a neighbour, a colleague or a friend. We distribute Qurans totally free of charge across the whole UK, including in prisons. Please call us now to contribute on 0300 030 1951 or email us on dawah@minhajuk.org.
We all have a part to play to keep Newham safe and help everyone to live with COVID-19 safely. You can reduce the risk to you and those around you in lots of ways. You could open windows to let fresh air in, wear your face covering when in crowded indoor spaces, do a rapid test before seeing people who are at a high risk from COVID-19, or stay home if you have COVID-19 symptoms. We are healthy. We are Newham. Thank you for helping to keep Newham safe.
A Sadaqah Jariyah unlike any other. This year, Allah has blessed us with the incredible opportunity of illuminating the interior of the Dome of the Rock Masjid, the exact place where the Prophet ﷺ was ascended into the heavens. This new lighting system will illuminate the central areas inside the Dome of the Rock. Gain the reward of praying in Masjid Al-Aqsa and give today. Visit muslimhands.org.uk.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The best among you are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others." In this blessed month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran, empower orphans to become huffaz for just 70 pence a day. Through your zakat and sadaqah, transform their lives by calling 03000 11 11 11 or by visiting pennyappeal.org. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
If you want to advertise your business on Revive FM, then visit www.revivefm.co.uk or contact our sales team now on 07944 565616. That's 07944 565616. Advertise with Revive FM.
Revive FM
94.0. On the radio,
on your mobile,
and online.
Hello, and welcome back. Good afternoon. You are locked into Revive FM 94.0 with your host today, myself, Louise Power. You are on the Power Hour, and this show is about community matters, diversity and inclusion, a platform for women, leadership, entrepreneurship, and inspirational stories. And in the studio today, I have David Duke. He's the CEO and founder of Street Soccer Scotland, and he has been telling us his very inspirational backstory about his own personal journey and how and why he started the organization. So welcome back, David.
Good to be back.
Good to be back. So before the break, you was telling us about, your journey and of course, your backstory and how that led into homelessness. And of course, some of the backstory around some of the things that happened at home as well. And I just want to thank you for, sharing that with us and your inspirational story. And then you spoke about your organization and meeting a role model and that being sort of like a catalyst, like somebody having a role model and a mentor for you to start doing football and then start coaching, which of course has now led into an organization that takes us across Scotland and across England. So that's across the UK, really fundamentally supporting people that, were just like yourself, that were homeless and had multifaceted kind of socio-economical issues and wanting support. And so, yeah, you were just kind of digging a bit deeper there about the program and, why and how it got started, really. So I stopped you there and I said that I'll come back to you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, no, I was saying is like the reason for street soccer obviously is my own lived experience. And then obviously being involved with the Homeless World Cup. They created this international tournament that kind of brought people together, and we wanted to create something similar in Scotland. And then that's kind of how it started.
That's fantastic. So how did you go about it? I'm sure there's lots of people that, we'll be sharing this with. This will be available, on Spotify, and it will be, forevermore. People will be able to listen to this and really get to the crux of your journey. So how did you go about starting an organization? Did you know where to start, or did you have a good network? How did you even find the people to go to, or what to do, or did it just sort of like start taking shape naturally?
Yeah, well, I think in terms of the founder, Mel from Homeless World Cup, he was a kind of serial entrepreneur or social entrepreneur, kind of set up the Homeless World Cup, set up the big issue in Scotland. So he offered advice and support in the early days to kind of, this is how you need to structure things and blah, blah, blah. But then I started to build a network of kind of people in the third sector, people in the private sector, a whole host of people who wanted to be part of the journey. And I think in the early days, it was just basically me, a bag of balls, a laptop, some posters, and we used to kind of just go around Glasgow and Edinburgh, just kind of putting on free football sessions. And as time developed, the numbers grew, the demand was there, and I started to engage kind of local businesses in to support it and stuff like that. And then some other larger charities were taking notice of what we were doing. So they then started kind of paying us to deliver kind of services for them as well, because of the impact it was having. So for such as mental health, for example, there was clear, growth and, solutions through what we're doing for people who are experiencing mental health in terms of, group-based activity, group-based learning. And that really kind of set us off in terms of starting to generate income to then fund the growth of the charity in terms of hiring staff and hiring people. And then, over the next 13 years, it was just kind of having the right network. So I ate a cake when you went off there, and now it's stuck in my throat.
Oh, don't worry, drink some water. This is a natural conversation. So
yeah. It's one of these Rice Krispie cakes. I was like, I'll have a nibble of it.
Natural things happen.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. I'll give you a minute. So
it's just basically, meeting the right people along the way, hiring the right staff.
Yeah.
Getting ambassadors involved, and then influence at a government level as well. So the Commonwealth Games came to Glasgow in 2014, and we became a legacy partner for that as well. So that led to some investment, which allowed us to expand from kind of Glasgow and Edinburgh into Dundee and Aberdeen and Inverness and stuff like that. And then as we've kind of expanded and grown, we've just been able to, gather support. I mean, the demand for what we do is there, and today we've got about 60 programs running every week.
And I've been privy to know some of your work, and I know that you do some work with young people, and you do some work with, adults as well, and you're transitioning and doing things in London as well. You've got different things you've got coming up as well, and I was just thinking that the sports soccer must give people inspiration to the street soccer must also lead into other things, because once people have that hope to go out and play soccer a certain time a week, they're getting their confidence back, and then start looking for work and accommodation and things like that. So are you partnered up and connected with people to just get?
Yeah, so the journey for a player, and again, based on the fact that everyone's journey is different, so it's all about about choice. It's not about doing something that you think will work. It's about trying to bring choice and the player voice across everything we do. But once they start playing football, that then starts to build structure, routine. Being places in the right place, the right time, and then with the physical activity and the exercise, that then starts to trigger, positive well-being outcomes, and improve mental health. And then it's about saying, right, okay, what else is there? Is it personal development? Could it be a qualification that you aim towards getting? So you start to build through that. There's a volunteer program, and then other kind of barriers. Such as kind of housing and, it could be addiction or whatever. It's about surrounding the player with the right opportunities so that people can access the support that you need, because often you spend most of your time trying to navigate where to get the right support. And for us, it's about putting the support around the player and the pitch.
I had no idea until I met your team that there was a World Cup for people around the world that have been experiencing homelessness as well.
Yeah. So that the Enormous World Cup was set up in 2003, almost 19 years ago now. And basically what that does, it unites up to 70 countries now, normally once a year. Obviously it's not happening until next year due to COVID, but brings projects from all over the world. So in Scotland, we represent the Scotland team. In England, we represent Team England. But then, you go to Football Social in Brazil, who do work with young people and adults living in the favelas. You get slum soccer in India, a whole range of kind of organised, the Big Issue in Australia, all these projects all using football as a kind of social tool and a kind of, a change mod, try to use football for change, across the world, and they come together in different locations, so the last one was in Cardiff, actually. Prior to that, it was in Mexico City, Oslo, Paris, Melbourne, Brazil. And then it's almost this kind of week-long festival of hope. And, players coming from various challenges and backgrounds all over the world come, and they're not, they're not homeless people playing football. They're footballers who just happen to be homeless, and it really changes the mindset of people in terms of what a homeless person.
Absolutely. The next time you come on, and I'm saying the next time because I'm optimistic we'll definitely do a show again. I would love to speak to somebody, yourself and somebody that's been on street soccer, that can talk about that journey as well, because
I can shout somebody in if you want. I'm in the centre, so there'll be people kicking around.
Oh yeah, you're more than welcome. They can jump on for 5 minutes. That'd be brilliant.
I remember there's a lad here, John, who played in the last World Cup, actually, and I'm sure he'd be happy to come on.
Yeah. Do you want to bring him on after the?
Next break. Yeah.
Next break. Yeah, I'm going to have another break in about 7 minutes, something.
How long does the break last?
About 3 minutes. 2 to 3 minutes. Yeah.
Just in case you come back and I'm not here, I'm looking for John.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, about 3 minutes, and then John can come on. That'll be really good. And then we can hear from John. And I know that you've got some plans, right, to come into London as well. And there's so many awesome things that you and your team are going to be doing. So I'd love to hear a bit about that.
So we started in London just before the pandemic. Great timing, as you know. So we launched in London just before the pandemic, and the whole kind of focus. There's two strands for London. So you've got the youth strand, which is looking at young people who might be at risk of getting involved in, gang violence, antisocial behaviour, and trying to use football and spaces and football to kind of just say, look, here's something positive, here's some positive role models, and bring a bit of education into the football we're doing, just to say that, about building, it's about creating hope for young people and aspirations, and creating unique experiences, taking them to like the England game or taking them to the Chelsea, just creating a community for young people to say that here's role models, here's support, here's regular football in the heart of the community. And that's all about, trying to stop kids getting involved in gang culture and stuff like that, and showing them a different gang to be part of, a football gang as opposed to. And then that includes on-pitch activities as well as off-pitch. And then the other side of it is the adult programme. So we're doing a lot of work with kind of homelessness and refugees. And that's all about, again, using football to integrate, using football to break down barriers, using football to take people on a journey, and again, you access, similar to Scotland, accessing a pathway, personal development, education, volunteering, and all that, to build people up so that they're in a place where they move forward.
Yeah, it's so important. So really, it's two-pronged. Really, you've got for young people, and then you've got for adults.
Yeah.
So I think that you've got a pipeline there, a real solid support, a real solid journey. And you're also sponsored by Nike as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So Nike donate quite a lot of product. So we just received like 2,000 items, which will be distributed, like strips and stuff like that, and they gave us a whole host of boots recently, which the kids just went crazy about. They were loving it. So yeah, Nike's been very helpful. But even things like, Nike and other brands, what they can do for charities, as you know, it's about, because that, for me, I always like to try and create kind of one of the experiences which you can tell people about, or kind of look back with fond memories. And so, like, we've had groups of players going to watch Chelsea train, we've had players going to the football match and all that. And one of our players was actually part of one of the strip launches for Nike and stuff like that. So these kind of life-changing experiences can have a real impact, one of our players who was a refugee from Sudan, lifelong Chelsea fan since he was a kid, just taking a travel halfway across the town to try and see Chelsea in a cafe. Managed to go and watch them train in person, and that was just, so it's these wee things, and we do a lot of stuff with Honest Burger as well in London, and we're now trying to kind of reach out to other organisations in London to see.
Tell us about that. Tell us about what you're trying to do, so that when I'm plugging this in my network as well, what's the next steps? What are you trying to do?
Next step, so obviously, enhance the youth work world. So we're doing youth work programs in like Nine Elms and Lambeth, Battersea, and we're also got our kind of schools program. So basically enhancing that, looking at saying how can we put more stuff on for the young people, etc. And then from the adult, it's about expanding that, taking that across London, building our women's program. We started doing a bit of work in Brixton Prison as well, trying to create, a program where when people come out of prison, they can come to street soccer and have somewhere that they can all call home. And then we also do the England Homeless World Cup team. There's a big World Cup happening next year in New York, looking at, trying to find the next Team England. And then this year we're also doing a Home Nations event in London, where we're bringing Wales, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and England for an 8-team kind of men and women tournament.
Yeah.
In the middle of London.
Oh, that is really just awesome. Honestly, I just hope that, and I'll make sure that I get that information out there to the network. Nine Elms, that's in the east of London, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll definitely have to touch base as well after this show, because I can think of so many different things that I think will be really positive and add value. And I just think that it's an awesome program, a many program, should I say, that you have. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to go into a short break and give us the opportunity to find John. So now we're going this is the Find John section, right?
Yeah, so I've got 3 minutes, is that what you said?
We've got 3 minutes to find John and come back.
If not, you're going to have to sing or something.
If not, I'll have to sing or find something else to do, my party trick.
Okay, I'll be back.
3 minutes, I'll be back. Do not touch that dial. You're locked into Revive FM 94.0 and the Power Hour. And David has gone to find John, and we'll be right back.
If you want to advertise your business on Revive FM, then visit www.revivefm.co.uk. Alternatively, contact our sales team now on 07944 56 5616. That's 07944 56 5616.
Through your hands, we can shape the future. By supporting an orphan, by quenching someone's thirst, by empowering people through life-changing livelihood projects, by responding to those in urgent need. The future lies in your hands. Muslim hands, united for the needy.
When you send money back home with Remitly, you are sending a dream. The dream of new opportunities, paying medical bills, covering school fees and building a future. Get started with Remitly today. It's the fast, safe, secure way to send money to Pakistan, Bangladesh and over 100 other countries online during Ramadan. Download the Remitly app and use code SEND5 to get a £5 discount on your first transfer when you send at least £50 from the UK. One per customer. Expires June 30th, 2022. Terms and conditions apply. See remitly.com/SEND5 for details. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "The best among you are those who learn the Quran and teach it to others. In this blessed month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran, empower orphans to become huffaz for just 70 pence a day. Through your zakat and sadaqah, transform their lives by calling 03000 11 11 11 or by visiting pennyappeal.org. Penny Appeal, Small change, big difference.
This is Aisha. Her father died in an accident at a very young age. She lives with her mother and siblings. There are millions like Aisha who do not have access to the very basics of life, resulting in her and many others not being able to attend school. Through Minhaj Welfare Foundation, your charity is dedicated towards supporting the full needs of orphans and needy children around the world. Donate today. Call us now, 0300 30 30 777. Or visit us on minhajwelfare.org.
I'm a GP at Woodgrange Medical Practice, and although the rules have changed, COVID-19 is still here. To live with COVID-19 safely, the best protection we can give ourselves is to get all our COVID vaccinations. You can be vaccinated at many locations around Newham, like a GP practice, place of worship, Westfield, or even the Newham vaccination bus. For more information, visit www.newham.gov.uk/book your vaccine or call 0203 373 6487. Thank you for helping to keep Newham safe.
Wah Bay. Indulge in an exquisite dining experience as our chefs prepare the finest Pakistani cuisine in front of your very eyes. From our mixed grill platters to our finely prepared traditional curries, the flavors of our mouth-watering menu will leave you with nothing to say except Wah Bay Wah. Find us at 410 to 412 Cranbrook Road, Gants Hill in Ilford. Wah Bay.
Revive FM.
94.0. On the radio.
On your mobile.
And online.
Hello, welcome back to Revive FM 94.0 on the Power Hour with your host today, myself, Louise Power. And I have David Duke in the studio from Street Soccer Scotland. And he went to go and find John, who's going to come on and tell us a little bit about his journey, if he found him.
So John's actually in a meeting with,
right.
So he's working for Shelter now.
Okay.
Yes, he's a peer mentor, but Billy, who's one of his teammates, is here and he's on his way up, so he should be with us in a minute or two.
Okay, that's all right. Yeah, so that's brilliant. So we'll meet John another time, and Billy's going to join us instead.
Yes.
All right. That's all right. John doesn't know that he's radio famous, does he? But he'll find out at some point.
Yeah, he doesn't. So he thinks it's for the radio, but he doesn't realise he's on camera as well. So
no,
I should have probably told him to call me Sam.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine. I promise not to bite. And it's incredible the work that you're doing and the things that you're planning on doing in the future. Here he comes.
He's looking
Come on,
nervous.
Billy.
So, do you want me to do a drum roll before he arrives?
So, yeah.
Let's see.
I'm just bending, Davey. That's fine. That's fine. We'll get in here.
Hi, Billy. You are live on air. Please do not swear.
He doesn't swear, Billy.
No.
Just like Davina would say if it was Big Brother. My name's Louise Power, and I'm the host of the Power Hour. And I'm calling in. Well, I'm dialing in from London, in East London today. At Revive FM. So I'm really glad that you could just jump on for us in short notice. I've been speaking to David. He's got an awesome organisation with Street Soccer Scotland. I know a little bit about the organisation and fantastic work that's going on. And I was privileged enough for him to say that you might come on for 5 minutes and just tell us a little bit about yourself and just, just really naturally about yourself and what Street Soccer has done.
Yeah, so Billy played at the last Homeless World Cup, which was in
2019
in Cardiff. So do you want to just talk about how you got involved with that then?
All right, okay. Been coming along to Street Soccer for about a couple of months. Come from a bad place. I'd just lost my grandmother. Had a relationship breakdown and wasn't seeing my kids. So I got involved with Street Soccer to give me a bit of structure and a bit of routine. Got asked to go and play for Scotland at Cardiff, and I was overjoyed. I was overjoyed at the time. It was just about the timing for me. It was like I was in a really bad place, a really dark place. And this sort of, for an organisation to have that sort of confidence and trust and like to ask you to go and experience something like that was just, it was out of this world. Yeah, so of course, before we went to Cardiff, we've done a week away where it's like a team bonding. Sorry, I'm just going to seat here.
Yeah, my seat now, eh?
Oh, I didn't even know that you didn't have a seat. You looked really natural.
I'm trying to. Yeah, so we had a week away where it was a team bonding. We all got to meet all the other lads from around the country. Before we went away, it was a real like family feel. Big David was there. I believe that was his first time he was away with the
For a
team.
few years, yeah,
with the team, and it was just a great experience. The sort of street soccer put you up on a pedestal, and the sort of they sort of keep you there, and that happened throughout the tournament. So we went away to Cardiff. We didn't know what to expect. Come from like I'm a Dundee lad, born and bred. Not really been out my tongue that much. Never been abroad. Never been on an airplane, stuff like that. So to then get taken from Dundee to Cardiff and sort of just put up on a pedestal, and sort of to express how you feel and stuff. And yeah, it was an awesome experience.
It's really heartfelt and really touching. Really, really is. And honestly, I'm just. I keep saying I'm just inspired over and over again, because these are real stories. Now, there's a lot of people in the social mobility space, in the charity space, first sector space, that are doing fantastic work. But I always say that the things that I connect with the most are the people that are actually having the real on the ground experiences, the people that are living it, right? When you're living it, you are the people that can tell the story best about what needs to be done to support you and to have that change. And I can hear it from you. I can hear it from you, Billy, that the organisation gave you hope, you know?
Yeah,
it really gave you hope.
But now Billy's doing the same thing. Do you want to talk about your role? So Billy's now, I told you about the Change Centre.
Yeah.
You know, the centre that we redeveloped. So Billy, do you want to talk about your role here and how you're helping others?
Okay. Since I came back from Cardiff, I moved into a volunteer role. But then we got to help with the start of the Change Centre, which is where we are now. Now my role is to help build player rapport, identify opportunities that we've got for players, identify, how could I say, mentoring people. So the good thing with Street Soccer Scotland is they put you through all the training and they give you all the sort of know-how. You've already got something that they obviously noticed right at the very start. That's why they asked you to volunteer. But they also give you extra tools throughout your sort of training that will help you to engage with fellow players. The great thing is, because I've came through this pathway, the easiest way to engage with somebody is just to tell them a bit of your own story and basically show them that it's not actually that far away from actual first engagement to then where I am now. And it's really just about engagement. Come along, having trust in your fellow players, colleagues, yes, and coaches. They seems to have the same ethos, right from players right up to management. Everybody's working together. It's all individual specific, and encouragement and belief all the time, just consistently, which keeps you in a good place. It's kept me in a great place.
I can feel it. I can hear that. What does the future look like for you, Billy? What does the future look like? I mean, you know, a year or something like that from now. What do you hope to? Do you have any idea about? You know, okay, you know, you're going to volunteer for street soccer. What do you visualize?
For myself, I'm really happy what I'm doing now. I'm really happy. I don't sort of do it for the money, the income, the finance. It's all satisfaction for me. That's what draws me in more. In a year's time, where do I see myself? I hopefully see myself still doing the same sort of job. And definitely still helping out with the same organisations. The great thing with being here is we've built up a partnership with lots of different organisations, and we'll bring them all under the same umbrella, and with the same sort of ethos of moving forward. So really, it doesn't matter what organisation you're with, because you're still under the umbrella. You're still all working together. As long as I'm doing the same thing and being allowed to do the same thing in a year's time, I'll still be just as happy as I am now.
It's honestly so inspirational. And I guess there's a question for both of you, really. How can we engage more people, say, for example, in London, the homeless community in London, the young people in London? I'm ingrained in a lot of the networks around diversity, equity and inclusion, social mobility. How can we engage these communities to see soccer as something that to aspire to, and also knowing that there's so many other things that can come from that, employment and housing and everything else. I think it's just awesome, and I just want as many people as possible to know about it.
I mean, I think in London, obviously, in Scotland, we're pretty well known locally in terms of in the areas that we operate, because we've been here for a while.
Yeah.
In London, we're obviously very new, so it's how can people kind of spread the word? It's just maybe sharing socials, talking about us, introducing us to things. We obviously do our own promotion in the local areas that we're working, and just help tell the story. Things like this really help. And
that's it. And get other partners involved, right? Because people are coming along and they're motivated and they're coming to soccer, they're playing soccer, and then they don't, it's heartbreaking to see them going back to the streets, when they're homeless and things like that, and trying to get them, property to live in, or a hostel, or just on the first. So I'm really going to be thinking about maybe my network and anywhere, David, that I can
catch up. I'm in London once a month, so let's catch up when I'm here.
100%.
We'll share some ideas and stuff like that.
You maybe take me with you, Davey.
I'll take Billy with me.
Carry my bag. I was thinking about that. I was like, Billy, you've been to Wales and now you need to
bodyguard. He's about 6'8".
Yeah. So
Big Billy, they call him Big Billy.
I must admit, one of the clinchers for me wasn't just the tournament stuff. It was also the relationship we built up with Davey and staff with Street Soccer. And I remember saying to Davey right near the start when we were at Calendar, it felt like Christmas. I felt every other day felt like Christmas Eve. When you kind of don't know what's going to be happening the next day, but you were so excited for it. And then the next day came and you were overjoyed and you thought that it couldn't get any better. And then it kept on getting better. The next day was Christmas Eve again. And it just kept on feeling like, right up until when we were finally coming home to Scotland. And Davey told us a couple of nights before that we were going to be coming home on an aeroplane. And I was just over the moon. And I was like, wow. So just little things like that people don't, you don't think are going to be a big thing to somebody. For me, it was massive. So, and it give me the encouragement to come back and do this again.
Definitely, I would love for you to come back, Billy, because with the power of the radio and things like this, you get to reach so much more people. And when you, for example, come to London, wouldn't it be great if you could speak to some of those people that are on the streets and have these conversations? And we realize that it isn't just homelessness. People do have alcoholism. They are sometimes it is drug addiction. Sometimes there is other things going on. But obviously, this is offering hope. And then they've got a sense of achievement, and then opportunities to try to tackle some of those other things that are, blocking them, really.
Mm-hmm.
And standing in the way of some of those hopes and those dreams. So I really want to keep the conversation going with you, David, with you, Billy, and touch base again in a few months' time and see where we are, different people that we've spoken to. And obviously people start at that journey and then where they get to down the line and being in the program for street soccer and everything. So it really has been just awesome. It really has been just awesome. I can't tell you how great it is, because I've had a break for a month and I've come back today and you're the first show, and it's just been brilliant. And having you on, Billy, and just hearing your story. You said about your nan passing away and then not seeing your children, and that's real. Yeah, these are real things that happen to real people, and how in a few days or a few months and a few weeks, someone's life can completely change. I remember reading a story about somebody during the pandemic who, had a really, high profile job. She was married, and then, she lived in a big house, and then through the pandemic, the marriage broke down. She lost her income from her job. She went through the really severe mental illness, lost the relationship, ended up living in a rented house. But through a few different things that happened, she said that she couldn't be happier. But it takes time, and it takes circumstances, and it takes mentors and really great people like David and organisations like Street Soccer Scotland to be involved sometimes in that journey. So we've got a few more minutes. If you could just quickly tell me, David, where people can reach you, and then we're going to unfortunately come to the end of the show.
Yeah, I mean, so basically our social channels, basically, so Street Soccer London. So if you go into Insta, Twitter, it's Street Soccer LDN. For Street Soccer Scotland, just Google either, but Street Soccer Scotland is basically Street Soccer Scotland on Insta and all that. So you can get us on that. I mean, I'm not the most social person on digital media, but I'm on Instagram and Twitter and stuff too. So you can find me, or LinkedIn as well from a business perspective.
LinkedIn as well. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I'd love to have you both back again. Definitely. 100%. You have been locked into Revive FM 94.0 and the Power Hour with my guests today from Street Soccer Scotland, David and Billy. I hope you join us again next week, not at the same time, because this was a bit of an exclusive show today at 2:00, but at 12:00 next Thursday for the Power Hour. So thank you very much for joining me, and I will speak to you soon. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
ये आयशा है। ये बहुत छोटी सी थी जब इसके वालिद का